Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good. Someone gave me a thumbs up. That's kind of cool. Okay, I've never seen that before. And it is 10 o'clock on the dot, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And we are recording in case you need to come back and take a look at any of this after the fact. So I'm going to share my screen. And you know what? I need to grab my notebook where I wrote down the list of things that I want to cover. Forgive me, give me just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. So I want to start just by showing you guys where to go to get the free version of Camtasia. So all you have to do is type in your search bar of whatever browser you use, free trial Camtasia. So this is how you spell it, Camtasia. And it'll be your very first link that pops up. And right here, you can just download the free trial, and that will be good for 30 days. And as I mentioned in our Unit 4 meeting last week, you will need Camtasia for Unit 5 as well. So don't uninstall it or anything once you're done with it. Easy enough. Once you have the program downloaded and you start it, this will be your starting screen, and you can just click New Project. So this is the Camtasia home screen. For your guys's purposes, you're going to have a PowerPoint that you've already made that covers your international communication presentation for whatever country it is that you decided to research for the assignment. So once you have Camtasia open, if your PowerPoint is already open, then that's great. If not, then you can go ahead and open up your PowerPoint. And I'm just going to open up one that I have for a different class to show as an example. So you'll have your PowerPoint, like I said, already pre-made and ready to go. And at this point, you should have already, not right at this moment, but by the time you are getting ready to record in Camtasia, you should have your script ready. And I'll talk at the end of the meeting about exactly what the expectations for your script are, but you'll have your narration ready essentially, and you'll know what you're going to say while you're showing the PowerPoint. So you'll want to go ahead and enter into presentation. Oh, actually, you have to record first. So in Camtasia, you'll go all the way up to the very left-hand side where it says record, and a little mini record bar will pop up, and you can see that over here on the bottom right. You can go ahead and just leave it on full screen since you're going to be using the presentation mode for PowerPoint. If you did, for whatever reason, need to change it to custom, then you can just click that button here. And when you do that, it's kind of hard to see, but if you look like right here in the upper left-hand corner, there's this little square, and then there's similar squares down at the bottom left and bottom right and top right. And you can use those to adjust the size of the screen that you wanted to record, just in case you needed to do that. You should be able to leave it at full screen. You can choose to have your camera on or off if you're a person who wants to kind of, get dressed up and also include, the shoulders up portion of yourself while you're giving the presentation. You can definitely do that. You don't have to, it's not required at all. So that's up to you. And then when you're ready to go, you'll go ahead and click record, and it's going to give you a countdown, a 3, 2, 1. And at this point, Camtasia is recording both your screen and anything that you're saying that your speakers are picking up. So then you'll go ahead and make your PowerPoint big in the presentation mode. My Zoom bar is interfering. Okay, so we'll click this. And then you would begin your presentation. So I'm just going to talk for about 10 seconds here so that we have a little bit more recording to work with as I demonstrate. So you would just begin, welcome to my presentation on Japan. Today, we're going to be talking about how to interact with your business counterparts, both before you travel over to Japan, as well as while you are there. And then, of course, once again, once you return home. So we'll be covering communication via phone, email, and in person, and everything that you might need to know in order to make a great impression while you're doing business in Japan. And then you'll move ahead with your PowerPoint. When you are done recording, you can just exit out of presentation mode, and then you'll see the recording bar down in your menu, and you can just hit stop. And I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. You can go ahead and record your presentation from start to finish all the way through if that works for you. If you are someone who feels that you'd like to record a couple of slides at a time and then take a break and get a drink of water, or let's just say you mess up, you flub up your words, or you say the wrong thing, or whatever, your dog barks in the background, whatever might happen, you can hit stop, but keep in mind, you don't have to start over from the beginning. What I like to do when I mess something up, and I'm going to record again just to demonstrate how I do this. So I'm going to go back into Camtasia. I'm going to hit record again. We get our countdown again. So what I like to do when I mess up is, for instance, right now I'm giving my presentation, I'm going forth and I'm doing really great. And then all of a sudden I say completely the wrong thing, or the dog barks, or whatever it is else happens, and I mess up. What I'll do is I'll pause like this. I count to 5 when I pause. And the reason why is because when I go back into my recording, it's going to be really easy to see where I stopped talking for an extended period of time. And then I can navigate to that section of the video and cut it out. So I'll pause for 5 seconds, and then I'll pick right back up from the point where I messed up, so that instead of having to start over or have lots of little videos to put together, I can just cut out the mistakes that I made. And I'm going to show you how to do that, of course. So I'll stop the recording again and jump back into Camtasia. Any questions from you guys at this point?
No.
Okay. And there's nothing in the chat either. I just wanted to check that. Okay, so now you can see, since we did the recording, that I've got some content here in my media bin, and I have 2 recordings, the first one that we did, and then the second one that I just did to show you guys what to do if you make a mistake. And what happened is, by default, that first recording, it went ahead and placed it onto my tracks down below here. And the second recording is just hanging out in the media bin. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the tracks. And the way that you do that, and really the way you do everything in Camtasia, is dragging and dropping. So I'm just going to click, I'm left clicking here on the second recording, and I'm going to drag it and drop it right here, right next to the initial recording. Camtasia is automatically going to separate your screen recording and put that on track 1, and then your audio recording is on track 2. And you can see, if I take a jump down here to the second one, remember where I had paused for 5 seconds? That's right here. So we can see really clearly where the mistake was. And if you use that method and you need to, or anytime you need to cut something out from your presentation, the way that you do it is you want to highlight both the screen and the narration so that you cut from both areas. You don't want to just cut your audio, because then your timing with your screen will be off. If for some reason only one is highlighted, you would hit Control on your keyboard and select the other one, and then you can see how they both have the yellow highlight, and that's how I know they're both selected. You then want to place your header bar, which is back here. You want to place this in the area that you want to cut. So I place it right here, right where I got silence. Okay, and then right here over kind of the middle left area where I'm moving my mouse, this is where you can cut things apart. So this button right here is the split. So I'll click that, and you can see instead of just having 2 long bars, now I've got 4. It cut it right where my header was. So now I'll slide that over to the end of my 5-second mistake. Although truth be told, probably the mistake was somewhere in here, what I said. So you'd want to listen back and pause right where you make the mistake and cut from that point. And then you cut all the way right to where before you pick back up with the correct version of what you were saying. So we'll just highlight both of those tracks again, split once again. And now I've got these 2 little sections here. This is where my pause and my mistake were. And so you can just select it, and then on your keyboard, you can hit delete. And then you would just slide things back together, and you have erased your mistake or whatever part you decided you didn't need. It's effectively removed from your presentation. Okay, so I'm going to slide all the way back to the beginning. To watch your playback, all you have to do is hit this play button right here. Okay, so you can move this wherever you want, obviously, and hit play to hear whatever section you want to hear. Don't touch this green and this red area right here. It has some functions when you touch them and start to pull them apart. They're kind of higher level functions that we're not going to talk about. So you don't want to click those and start spreading your header bar to be any bigger than it is. You want it to be this nice thin line that you just move using the big center gray piece here. Okay, so you can see right now that there's 2 tracks and then there's a third empty track, and Camtasia will allow you to have as many tracks as you need to have, and I'll show you why you would want to perhaps have more tracks. So since the purpose of your assignment, it is, first and foremost, it's to educate your employees, but what you're doing is you're creating a video so that these employees can watch the video on their own time. And we've all, I'm sure, seen good and bad YouTube videos. And when we see a good YouTube video, it doesn't usually just start, right? Usually there's some type of introductory screen where it gives like the title of what we're going to watch. Sometimes there's some music and there's some animation and things like that. So I want to show you how to add at least a simple version of a title screen. And I guess this is important too. So I already showed you how to cut things out. Everybody is going to have to cut the beginning of their presentation, because once you hit record, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the full PowerPoint program. You don't want your video to start with you looking around for the present button and then pressing it. You're going to want to use your header bar to slide over to, let's see. Okay, so you can just drag it and whatever's happening on the screen will change. It's just, I guess it took me a while to go to present. So once I actually got the screen up the way that I wanted it, about right here, this is where I would want my actual video to start. So I would again click Control to grab both of these, click split, and then I'm just going to get rid of all this stuff in the beginning that maybe I was just, messing around with my computer, getting things ready to go. That's not part of the video, so we'll just cut it out and move our items down. So now the recording starts where it should start, with the full PowerPoint up on the screen. Adding in your title screen, you want to give yourself a little bit of room. So that's why I just dragged these down a little bit. And you have a couple of different options. The coolest option is to work with the library. And if you click on the library, it's over here, kind of underneath record on the left-hand menu. And you go to intros and open that folder up. You've got a whole bunch of different options that are already animated and pretty cool looking. So I'm just going to select this one right here, the fading squares. Just like before, we're going to click it, left click, drag it, and drop it right onto our track. So it's a little bit too big. In order to resize items, you don't want to resize what you record, because then you'll cut off things that you record. But anything else that you might add, you can resize just by hovering over the end of it, clicking, and then dragging over to the size you want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down here onto my track 1, just because I'm like to be organized. And maybe I want this opening to be a little bit longer. Okay, so now when I hit play, I've got this kind of cool opening screen with the moving bubbles, and it's giving me some text that I can go ahead and replace. So when you are going to work with something, a Camtasia element like this, you're going to double click right here on your preview screen, and I can click in there and I can say, welcome to Japan, or whatever I want to title my presentation. You know, you could just delete that, or you could all you need to know to succeed, or something, whatever, you know, whatever you want to say for your particular presentation. Now, if you wanted to, let's say we used a different, or let's say you don't want to use the bubbles, or you like this one, this red triangle scroll. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of that, and I'm going to drag and drop the red triangle down here. Make it a little bit smaller, slide it in, doesn't want to fit there. Okay. So now I've got the red triangles that kind of shimmer a little bit. And I can, once again, I can just click here and change that. Let's say I want to add some more words. The way that you do that is over here in the left menu, and you would use annotations. So you can see when I clicked annotations, it's giving me a bunch of different options. Just letters, or I can have letters in a text box. I can use like this thought bubble or the dialogue cloud if I want. You can have arrows with words in them. If you change your style up here to all, then you get even more options. And there's really a lot. You can do a lot of pretty cool things with this program. I'm going to use this one just as an example. So if this is, I'm going to use the box with letters. So I would take that and drag it, and I would drop it. And I'm going to drop it right here. So it's right in the same, coming up at the same time as the red triangles, right? So that's when the tracks are stacking on top of each other. The reason for that is because you can have things appear at the same time. So if you want 5 different things happening at the same time, then you're going to have 5 separate tracks, because you're going to be stacking them on top of each other. So you can see that this text box popped up on my screen. When I move my header off of it, it's going to go away. So in order to work with the elements on your screen, you've got to have your header bar placed on top of it. And where did our welcome to Japan go? Okay. So in order to change this text, again, I'll just double click, type in whatever I want. And then I can also adjust the size of this box if I want to, right? And I want to call your attention over to the right-hand side of the screen over here. This is where you can adjust things like the font and the font color for whatever element it is that you're clicked on. And so the A, this is for your font and your letters. If I click over here, this is for the actual call out, which is the box. So you can change the shape if you wanted at this point. You can change the fill. So maybe I want to make it, you know, blue. Not that that would look great, but just to show you that you can change it any way you want. We can make it have a gradient if we want. Make it a little bit opaque. So lots of different creative options. You can go crazy with this if that's your thing, or you can keep it really simple. I'm just showing you the different options, but I'm not going to be grading you on so much on this kind of stuff as I am the content that you're presenting for your country. But your overall presentation of the video does need to be professional, and adding in these types of elements, they make a professional video. So it's important that you do at least add a title slide. And I think it also works really nicely to have some music. So I want to show you guys how to add a little bit of music to the beginning and the end of your presentation. So the way that you do that, First and foremost, you can use a certain website to get free copyright-free music. I think it's called Ben Sound. So bensound.com is royalty-free music. And if you click on that, there's just tons of, pages and pages of free music, and you can kind of get a preview by clicking on the green play button. So you can select the one you want, download it, and just click download. So you can use it as long as you're not doing any of these things, which you're not. You're not making a podcast or a music remix or anything. So you'll just download the free version. And this is key. So this is, I want to tell you a little bit about how to save things if you are going to add sound elements or any additional photo elements. You want to have a folder. We could put it on our desktop. Let's just say you're going to create a folder and you're going to call it whatever you might call it, Unit 4 project or Camtasia or whatever it may be. And anything that you use in your project, including the PowerPoint and any music and any additional images, you want to save it all into that folder. And then you're also going to save your Camtasia project into that folder. You have to do it this way because Camtasia, the program, needs to have all the elements that make up the recording within the same folder. Otherwise, when you go to open it again, it won't be able to find them and you'll have to start your presentation over from the beginning. So make sure that you are creating a dedicated folder for everything that you have for this project and saving everything into that folder. So in my case, I would go ahead and I would want to take that music that I just downloaded right here, and I would want to place it. Here's my Unit 4 project folder on the left. I'm going to drag it and drop it into that Unit 4 project. Now to put it into Camtasia, I'll go up here to the left and click media. So I'm in my media bin, and you can see these items that I added are in my media bin now. And then you'll click the plus to add it, and I'll import media. And I know right where to look because I created my dedicated folder, Unit 4 projects. And here's my music. So it just dropped it into the media bin, and now I've got to drag and drop it onto the track. You can see it's really long, this music track. We don't need it to be this long because you typically don't want music playing the whole time you're talking. Sometimes that works. If you've got a good enough recording voice and you speak loudly and clearly, you can have faded background music throughout the whole presentation. But that doesn't always work. So I would recommend experimenting and seeing how it sounds before you do that. So we're just shortening this way up. And we could just cut it too if we wanted. But let's say we're going to have 10 seconds worth of opening music in our opening title slide. So I'm moving my recording down a little bit, making everything else long enough. And now when I hit play, I'm going to hear the music. Okay, so you get the point. You could also add music at the very end of your video if you want to drop in like a thank you slide or something like that. And you could, if you want to drop in that same music, because why not? Usually you want to open and close with the same thing. You would just drag and drop that right onto track 3 or 4 or whatever track. You can drag and drop things repetitively. You can use them more than once. When you do use music, typically you want to make it fade in and out. That's another professional element. So if you click more on the menu option right here, you'll see audio effects and you'll see this fade in and fade out. So you would just drag the fade in effect onto the music, drag the fade out effect onto the music, and then you can use these little green circles to adjust the fade level. We'll see what that sounds like. So that way the music fades out rather than having a harsh stop. That maybe that piece of music wasn't the most effective to show it on, but if you've got a stronger piece of music that is louder and doesn't have as much of its own fading, that's a really important effect to use on the music. If you want to stick with something really simple for your title screen, you don't want to use anything from the library like those moving triangles, you can just do a call out. So you can just use that text box. And if you right click it, you can do scale to fit and it's going to blow it up to fit your screen. So I would just have, and if you do that, you might want something at least somewhat cool to happen with your words. So you would apply back in the menu, I'm clicking more and I'm looking at behaviors. So behaviors affect lettering that you put on the screen. And if you hover over any particular one, it'll show you what that effect is. There's a whole bunch of really cool ones. We'll use fly in. So just like everything else, drag and drop it right onto the call out where the letters are appearing. And then we can take a look at how that looks. And that happened way too fast, right? It kind of flew in much faster than I would want to happen. So over here on the right, again, we have our options to edit the effect, and I could just slow down the speed of it flying in. I'll do it to about 52%. Now check it out. Okay, so that was a little bit cooler than the initial one because it was a little bit slower. Just a couple more things to get through here. So actually just one more thing. This is similar transitions right here on the menu is similar to the transitions that you would use on your PowerPoint screens. And you can use it to transition out of your introductory screen and maybe into your thank you screen at the end. So again, if you hover over, it'll show you exactly what's going to happen. I'm a fan of this flip, so I'm going to go ahead and drag it and apply it again to my call out. And we'll take a look at what that looks like. And then your presentation starts, right? So by adding in just a couple of simple elements, basically your title screen that tells your viewers what they're about to look at, what they're about to learn, you really up the professionalism of your video. It looks much more like something that was intentionally made for consumers as opposed to just, like what our normal Zoom meetings look like. Like that doesn't look like anything that anyone outside of our class would want to watch. But if I took the time to stylize it and put a welcome video, like welcome to our unit on international communication. Today, we're going to learn about XYZ. And I started off with music and everything like that, then I might be able to get other people outside of our class to watch the video and feel a little bit more interested in it just because of the way I presented it from the get-go. And the last thing that I'm going to show you guys is how to take an image and place an image in an extra image onto your PowerPoint. It's not necessarily likely that you would want to do that because you might already have all of your images embedded in the PowerPoint. But let's say you want to have an image that moves or does something really cool. Then you would want to use Camtasia to do that. So once again, I'm over here on the left menu and I'm in the media bin, and you would want to have your image already saved in your dedicated project file. So let's pretend that I do have that there. I don't, but we'll pretend. So you would just go to import media, and then of course you would go to your unit 4 project file and grab your image. For me, I'm just gonna, I know I have some pictures here, so I'll grab this picture of a kid and a giraffe. It went in my media bin. Now I'm just dragging it and dropping it onto my timeline wherever I want it. So it's over here. It's now part of my presentation. And let's say I want to change the size. So I've got my header bar over it. And now I'm gonna use my arrows to shrink it. And I want to place it right here in the middle. And I want it to do something cool. I want it to pop in a different way. So I'm going to select something fun. let's see, we'll do the dissolve. So I'm going to take this dissolve feature, drop it onto my photo, and then we can see what it looks like when it pops in. So you can see that the photo dissolved in, and now it's going to dissolve out. So you can, again, really kind of up the quality of your video if you take some of the images that you're planning on using and drop them in, excuse me, using Camtasia instead of just having them on your PowerPoint screen, because you can't get all of these effects with PowerPoint. With the effects that you drop onto images or anything else, you can see these like teal type of bookends on the left and right. Those are the effect, and you can make them shorter or longer just by hovering, getting the arrow, and then stretching it. And that would just make the dissolve happen a little bit slower. And that's all. You can change the length of time the picture's on your screen by just dragging it out, and then the picture will be here for all of this time. And that is that. I do feel like there's one thing that I skipped over. Pictures, transitions. Oh, I know what it is. So back in the annotations area, the call outs, you can do more than just add text. Right here, you've got arrows, and arrows can be really helpful if you want to point out something on the screen. So you can take an arrow. Let's say you've got a list of bullet points and you want to highlight each bullet point by pointing to it when you talk about it or something like that. Or in my case, maybe I want to point to this picture. I would take the arrow and put it, let's say I'm going to have the arrow come in a couple seconds after the picture. So now I've got this arrow, and when I hover over it, I can see it. It's right here. It's really small, right in the center of my screen. So if I want to make it bigger, just drag it like this. And over on the right, once again, I can adjust the effect so I can make the thickness of the arrow bigger. And I'm going to point at my picture. Maybe I want to say, as you can see to this picture on your right, and right when I say picture on your right, that's when I would have the arrow fly in. So I can drop in my fly in onto the arrow. And now we'll see that the arrow comes in. So you can see how we have a lot of movement on the screen, so that, kind of goes along with our how to make a good PowerPoint. Same thing with how to make a good video. You want movement and things that will keep your viewers' attention. So that covers all of the things in Camtasia that I wanted to show you how to use. The last thing is I want to show you how to save and then how to upload your video to YouTube. So saving is fairly simple, just like saving anything else. You're just going to do a file, save as. Of course, you're going to be saving it in your dedicated folder, wherever you've placed that. So we're Unit 4 projects for Japan. And you can see this file type right here is TCS PROJ. So it's saving it as a Camtasia file. That means that you can't upload this file to Canvas to share with me. You can't even upload it to YouTube. It's exclusive to Camtasia. So you do need to save it so that you have the project and you can make edits or go back to it if you want, but you have to do a little bit more to actually get the MP4 file that you need to upload to YouTube, or really just, MP4s are pretty versatile, and that's the file version that you need. So after you do the file save as and save the project, you're going to go up to the top menu and select share. The fastest and easiest way to do this is to share it directly to YouTube. And you will need a YouTube account to be able to do this. So if you don't have one, you'll have to make one, but Gmail accounts are connected to YouTube. So if you use a Gmail personal email address, you do have a YouTube account. You just didn't know it. You just have to sign in using your Gmail email address. Otherwise, you can just create an exclusive YouTube account. Of course, if you don't want one, you can just delete it after the assignment is graded. So I clicked share, I went to YouTube, make sure that you title it. I'm already signed in using my Gmail account. You might be prompted to sign in or create an account. You don't have to do anything with the description or the tags, but down here, this is important. You can either leave your video public if you're comfortable with anyone being able to search for it and view it, or you can select unlisted, which means that the only way anyone can get to it is if you give them the link. So it won't come up on any type of search or anything else. It's only accessible via the link. You should not set it to private because then you have to go through a series of steps in order to allow me to view it, which is a pain. Instead, you're just going to do public or unlisted, and then that way I can access it with the YouTube link that you sent me. So after you select that, you can just click finish, and it takes, depending on the speed of your computer and how many effects you added and how long your project is, it could take anywhere from 3 minutes to half an hour for the project to render and actually load up into YouTube. But once it does, YouTube will walk you through a couple of really simple steps, and then it will give you the URL that you need in order to put into your assignment to submit to Canvas. Any questions about that? And then I'll tell you real quickly what the script should look like.
Does it save automatically in Camtasia before like you save it to your files?
Okay, so no questions. When you are creating your script, I know I wasn't very detailed about that when we were doing the Unit 4 meeting. All you have to do is, well, you can do it one of two ways. So this is what you're gonna submit to me. Unit 4 assignment, and then your YouTube URL, whatever that might be. And then the rest of this document, oh wait, you're gonna have your references, right? Because we talked about including your references here on the assignment submission. And then you'll have your script. And your script can either be an outline of what it is that you're going to say. So maybe you enjoy talking without actually reading something off the page. Maybe you want to have something that looks like what I did today. So I've got like, my outline was like website for trial, record feature, tracks, cutting tracks, right? So I have this outline sitting next to me, and then I was able to just refer to it and then talk through what I wanted to say. So maybe that's your presentation style of choice, and you can definitely just do an outline of your narration and submit that. Maybe you're more comfortable actually writing everything out and then reading it off the screen. So if that's the case, then you're probably going to have several paragraphs of the script that you're reading, and you'll go ahead and turn that in. You have to turn in, oh wait, so option B then is fully written narration. You have to turn in either option A or B. Otherwise, you really truly are just kind of winging it, and you don't have, it doesn't demonstrate that you prepared enough. I would maybe recommend, if you're going with the outline style, that you do something like this. Slide 1 is this, and then got, 2 is whatever this is, and slide 3, so forth and so on. So you're organized by slide. That probably will help you stay organized and make sure that you hit all the key points that you want to hit. But either option A or option B, they're equal. They're both good enough. So do whichever one you feel is more helpful and more comfortable for your presentation style. And that is all I have for you guys. So if there aren't any questions, then you can feel free to head out. If you do have a question or want me to go over something again or repeat something, you can let me know right now. Otherwise, have a great day.
Script is basically just giving us like it's preparation, but we're just turning it into you and everything.
Can you ask that again or in a different way? I'm not sure I understand.
So for the script, it's just basically, preparation for the presentation, basically, because how we have to like speak and everything. But the
Yes.
script is just showing us like what we can say and all that.
Yes, yep. So the script is yeah, it's your preparation for making sure that when you actually go to record this video, you're not saying a bunch of ums or oh wait, or you don't have a bunch of long pauses where you forgot what you were going to say. It helps ensure the professional quality of your recording.
Okay, and so and does it have to be any length or any words? Is just to finish the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I don't want to set a length or a word requirement or anything on it. So it's just whatever, whatever you need to get through the content that you're planning on presenting.
Okay.
Okay.